Gelade. Well done. A formidable fortress in the old style. We don't build them like this anymore, you know. Not by the sea. Too vulnerable to cannons.
What do we got here? It's just a recall. Okay. So, goodbye.
May Wal watch your step.
It's good knowing you. Do you want to talk to him
Ready.
before we leave? Leave him behind? Yeah, we can talk to him. Why not? Okay, let's just get up here. And where you at?
Yeah? As a peripatetic loner, I'm not privy to the latest news, but the Hollowborn Children is a tale that has reached even my reclusive ears. Or, rather, ear.
What do the Glenfathan Druids think of this plight?
It's been a long time since I've spoken with my circle. They'd probably tell you what I'd tell you. This plight was most certainly the consequence of someone trespassing into Nguithan places, not meant for folk. I mean, what else other than the gods could inflict punishment of such impressive scale?
I don't know if I just missed it, but I didn't know he was in Gwithin. I didn't catch that part. That's actually really interesting. What are your thoughts on the Hollowborn?
Anytime a life is separated from its soul, I wanted to pretend it was just a rumor when I first heard of it.
His eyes meet yours, and his usual default smile becomes a frown. His voice trails off. He has several starts and stops before finally deciding how to finish his thoughts.
In my youth, I'd curse the dear Woodens for being ignorant despoilers that breed out of control. But soulless babies? What heartless gods would inflict that kind of tragedy? No parent or child deserves to be a part of that horror.
Let's talk about other matters.
Need something?
He asks with a raised eyebrow. Tell me about yourself.
My second favorite subject.
He runs his fingers through his scalp, preening his fur.
What would you like to know?
How did you come to be trained as a druid? Heravius thumbs his half-shredded ear and thinks to himself for several seconds. It wasn't entirely by choice, not at the start at least. My ambition was to be a hunter. I merely arrived by a different trail. As a child, an Anomfath came to visit, an honored guest as occasion for a grand chase, but I was left out, instructed instead to be cupbearer to the old wise one, while the rest were on a hunt. I'm sure you can guess what happens. Wise Anomfath gives dumb child a shred of attention. We ended up talking until the hunters returned. He gave me... His hands dart across his body, scouring the pockets and folds of his tunic. This. He presents a rusted iron medallion, fashioned in the likeness of a hound's head. A common icon amongst the frontiersmen, explorers, and other seekers faithful to Gallowayne. The Anomfath insisted I be trained, and none in my village would defy him. Now, he smiles broadly, I don't need a bow to hunt. Where are you from originally?
My mother's crotch. You?
Okay, you and Durrance would get along. Stare silently. What a coincidence. I also came from your mother's crotch. Oh, God. It's great. Are you always this foul? I mean, we're used to it. We're used to it. Sure, let's play along. What a coincidence.
For the record, only I'm allowed to insult my mother. But I respect your dedication to banter, so I'll let it slide. This time.
He narrows his one eye at you.
I grew up in Glonfoth, specifically in and around Thane Bog. My people, the Fisher Crane tribe, are migrant stewards of the land. I've walked the whole of Glonfoth many times.
What's the story behind the symbol of whale on your eye patch? Whale is known as the eyeless face, so the symbol seemed a good fit for my eye patch. He absent-mindedly runs his finger along the strap of the patch band. Whale iconography is rather popular in my home tribe, but it seems he is not as widely venerated here in the Dyrwood. I remember thinking that if I consecrated my eye to he who obfuscates, that word, and reveals, then maybe with enough devotion, Whale would make use of old ruined things. He pulls on the eye patch strap and lets it go with a loud snap. So if you think you see me staring at rumps and cleavage, it's really just the will of Whale controlling my gaze. Honest. What's your relationship with Galawain? I was raised as a disciple of the Secret God. He is the champion of the hunt, be it the simple struggle for sustenance or the scholarly pursuit of knowledge. That's actually really cool. A hunter god that's like not just about a hunt, like hunting animals or, prey, but knowledge. That's actually really cool. I like that. In my older years, I've found he cuts himself off, shakes his head, and starts again. Life has shown me I am more suited to the ways of Whale. The furious hunt for knowledge often outpaces the journey to real understanding. Druids are known for changing into animals. What sort of creature can you become? He takes a half step backward as you ask the question. All sorts of things, he says quietly with a long, uncomfortable gaze. Heravius stares at you blankly, arms folded. Let's discuss something else. Any man with your scars has a story to tell. I'm just going to ask you later if you don't tell me now.
Yes, I suppose you should know.
He grips his forehead and turns his face away from you.
I struggled with spirit shifting, the final rite of passage in my druidic training. I prayed to Galawain for insight and, in the style of seekers of old, went to the forest, alone, to ask for guidance. Then I got my answer, an answer at least, in the form of a vibrantly colored Stelgar that pounced from the underbrush and made a salient demonstration of its capacity to eat things 1/15 its size.
You're alive today, so how did you fend off the beast? That's terrible. I'm thankful you managed to survive. Let me guess, the beast knocked some sense into you. As awful as that sounds, it's one amazing rite of passage. Let me guess, You're alive today, so how did you fend off the beast?
Fend it off? I ripped off its arm and sent it running.
He strikes the face of an offended man, but smiles too wide to hide his amusement.
As the beast was lopping off bits of my handsomeness, I remember trying to fight back, swinging with arms too short to reach. I felt I had the energy for one last swipe at the beast's nose, and when I lashed out with a punch, my arm felt twice as massive, and my fingers sprouted talons. In a rush of power, I shifted into a mirror of my assailant. Apparently, he couldn't pick on someone his own size. By the battle's end, his severed arm was in my maw. The beast limped away in defeat.
That's quite an impressive tale. I thought learning the spirit shift would win me some respect. Maybe trap myself in a dear and lass with a lust for little men. Alas, I might have been better off staying a novice. When I wandered back to my village, they saw my wounds and asked what happened. I showed them. The name they called my form was the Autumn Stalgare, and his mouth opens, but he hesitates for a long moment before choosing his words. They were not impressed. The Rio of my circle believe the Autumn Stalgare to be a heinous abomination. It is said that if it eats you, your soul is invariably lost. As this was my first and most intuitive form, they deemed me a carrier of its evil. Even though I never so much as threatened my kin, I was ruled unfit and cast out. Heravius sighs, scratching his scarred face. I don't know what message Galawain was trying to send. The only lesson I learned was that the Secret God will punish you for seeking. So you're some sort of soul cannibal? Heravius stares at you with a frown before covering his face in his hands. No, he mutters. At least I think not. I've never actually sat down and eaten an entire person to find out. I'm not that curious to find out. You didn't choose your shape-shifting form? No, he says with a huff. It chose me, or so I imagine. I always assumed I would shift into a stoat. Seems more true to my nature. He points to the embossed pattern of whale on his eye patch. As the obscured teaches, when the answer is inscrutable, one must be content to ponder the question. Were you at least recognized as a proper druid? His brow furrows. No. But I know I passed an initiation rite 5 times more perilous than any of those kin betrayers that insisted I was a failure. Can you learn to spirit shift into something less terrifying? I already can, and sometimes do, he says with a beaming smile that quickly returns to a scowl. But the druids of my circle assign great meaning to one's first form. I'll always be unclean to them. Thank you for sharing your story.
Well, if you don't know me, you can't trust me. And if you can't trust me, odds are low you'll leap in front of a flying arrow to save my life.
That's true.
I've been meaning to visit the druids of Twin Elms to see if they know more about my spirit shift. If our journey takes us there, perhaps they can enlighten me with more information about the Autumn Stelgar. But for now, maybe we can talk about something less depressing?
He clears his throat and puts on a pained smile. I want to hear more about Gallowayne and Whale. He stares at you blankly with his one eye. Oh. Not sure what more there is to say on that subject, unless you were itching for a religious debate. Tell me more about your thoughts on Whale. I came to know Whale in earnest in the first year of my exile. I asked myself why Gallowayne would punish me for asking questions. What just and fair god would punish me for doing as he asks? Questioning why I had been mauled just drove me mad. At the height of my worry, I would have dreams where I only saw with my injured eye. My healthy eye became blind in my dreams. He lifts up the eye patch to gently itch at the socket. You catch a quick glimpse of a puckered and scarred abscess under the whale-embroidered patch. So one afternoon, I stitched a stylized eye motif on the patch. I like to think of it as my self-initiation rite into the Brotherhood of Whale. Will is not an instructive or overbearing deity. He does not freely dispense wisdom and expects all of us to question and explore with our own minds. Whale reminds me that curiosity is being receptive to any and all truths, not hunting for any one answer. Has Whale ever actually spoken directly to you, or sent you a sign? No, never directly, he says with a smile, which is as it should be, given what he represents. I especially like how Whale never sends wild beasts to maul me, but maybe I have low expectations of such things. Let's speak of something else. On second thought, some other time. Heravius shrugs. Your loss. Find a druid who knows more about the Autumn Stelgar. Alright.
Got it.
He is interesting.
Okay.
I think he is a really interesting character. Unfortunately, he's not going to be with us.
May Wow watch your step.
Alright, so you said it. Wow. Wow.
Hey.
Wow. I don't know how to... It's too many, why can't they just use really, really simple, basic names like Tom or George for their gods? And make it really easy for me. Who am I kidding? I probably still messed it up. Okay. It will take you 1 day to complete your journey from Cadnua to Dyrford village. Let's go. Well, by the splash art, this village has seen better days. Find someone in town who knows about the ruins. Through the Death's Gate. Or I guess it's through Death's Gate. Alright, ooh. It's a pretty little town, actually. Alright. Something right. How long do we gotta stand out here? How long do we... you already said that. Until we find her, so keep your eyes peeled. Here are you guys. Cowled man, cowled dwarf. Hello? Medrith. An elf idles by the road, watching the village across the river. He nods as you approach, and the cowled figures standing near him fall silent.
Good day, stranger.
Greetings, friend. A slow smile forms as he eyes you. I've heard of you. Word has it you've been busy in Defiance Bay. He draws closer. I'm busy too. and eager to finish my business and get back to the city. And what business is that? Haven't you heard? There's a murderer on the loose, said to have gone mad with grief and strangled a dozen healthy children when her own was hollowborn. He nods at the figures with him. We've come all this way from Defiance Bay to bring her to justice. She's here? He nods across the river. She's hiding out in the village. We'd go in after her ourselves, but the problem is, she knows our faces. There's no telling what she'd do if she saw us coming, and we'd like to avoid any further unnecessary bloodshed. He leans closer. Her name is Dyrford. She's in Orlin. We want to get her out of town so that we can deal with her cleanly. She knows we're looking for her, but if someone were to convince her that it's safe to leave... If she's a mass murderer, why didn't the Duke send the Crucible Knights after her? The powers that be want to keep things quiet, for obvious reasons. Better not to cause a fuss, and certainly better not to startle her into doing something drastic. I could draw her out. He nods. She won't know you. It'll be simple. I have a few questions. What is it? Remind me. An Orlin woman named Dyrford. I don't know exactly where in the village she is, but there aren't too many Orlins around here. Well, any luck with Dyrford? What did she do exactly? She was responsible for the murder of all those babies in Defiance Bay, remember? Terrible thing. But we will make her pay, alright. Okay. That story seems far too... plain? Simple? What do we got here? Looks like this is a chapel. See what kind of chapel we got going on, if it is indeed a chapel. Harbinger Beardman, or Beardmar, and Selby or Kelby.
Out with you! I already told you what... I'm sorry. I thought you were one of those ruffians.
The old man turns as you enter. His face is covered in bruises and his lower lip is swollen. He stops and peers at you, squinting through a black eye. Adir grunts in disgust. These times we live in.
How may I help you?
He gives you something between a smile and a wince. What happened to you?
I never saw their faces. Strange hooded men asking about those ruins. Cleoban Relag. Most of the brigands who come through here asking about the ruins are looking for a few ancient trinkets. But these people knew the name, and they were in a hurry.
Sounds like who we're searching for, huh? He hobbles over to a filmy window. He peers through the dirty glass.
They wanted to know where Cleoban Relag was. I tried to keep it from them, but I couldn't hold out forever. I don't know what they were up to, but it can't be good.
He limps away from the window, shaking his head. Alof looks at you, frowning. That does sound like the leaden key, doesn't it? The old priest nods politely. Is there something else I can help you with? Can you tell me more about the ruins?
The Glanfathan tribe that guards the ruins will kill anyone who trespasses there. And they'll retaliate against us too, if history is any indication. We've had too many fortune seekers stir up trouble of late. If I'm to tell you, I'll need to know your reason for wanting to go.
A dangerous plot is unfolding there. I've got to stop it. I'm here on business for the Duke. Trust me, you're better off not knowing. You'll tell me because I'll give you and your assistant another beating if you don't. A dangerous plot is unfolding there. I've got to stop it.
If that's the case, then we may already have trouble headed our way. I'll have to take you at your word. You'll find Cleoban Relag here. Whatever trouble you find there, please end it quietly and try to stay out of the ruins.
A weary sigh wheezes out of his throat. He pulls out a faded map, and points to a spot in the woods. Tell me about Dyrford. Folk here tend to keep to themselves, so they do as they do in most towns this deep in the Dyrwood. They're suspicious of travelers, but with all the brigands and refugees moving through the area, who can blame them? This is a temple to Barath? What can you tell me about Barath? Barath is the most universal of all the gods. It oversees portals and cycles of all kinds, even life and death itself. Under Barath, an ending is merely a passage to another beginning. Barath has many representations across time and across cultures. Around the Dyrwood, you'll commonly see it depicted as the Pallid Knight or the Usher. Glenfathans, however, know it as Bunin I Nq, and Anku E Bunin. Okay. Tell me about the Pallid Knight. She's one of the youngest manifestations of Barath, but a familiar one nonetheless. Stories describe her as a gaunt knight in black armor with black eyes, black hair, and milk-pale skin. She demands an impossible toll from travelers who have tarried too long on her lord's road. Some challenge her only to slay themselves in the process. Who is the Usher? Kith have witnessed stories, songs, and poems about the Usher for centuries. Sometimes he's folk, sometimes dwarf, and sometimes merely a walking skeleton. He never speaks, but he guides the way to death in the next life. He also creates the circumstances for the wayward to stumble into their own graves. I've never heard of Bunin I and Anku I Bunin. It means life and death and life, respectively. You see them as two skeletal figures, one male and one female. Explorers have found them carved opposite one another in doorways, but I know of no particular legends that speak of them. Thanks for the information. Of course, Barath was once more widely worshipped in this area, but it is a silent god. He smiles sadly. These days, people find themselves in need of clearer answers. Farewell. Okay, so travel to Cleabon Relag. Talk to Beadmar. No one trusts me with anything more than lighting candles. Looks like the quest got done. Yep. Though backed by the money and spies of two Valiant dukes, Zawa had difficulty cracking the Glenfathan astronomer's code. Many of the Glenfathans who initially appeared helpful turned out to be saboteurs who believed that outsiders could not be trusted with Glenfathan secrets. A series of ambushes and difficult chases through Ir Glenfath eventually brought Zawa face to face with the great-great-granddaughter of one of the Orlan astronomers who predicted the Lover's Tide. She threatened to destroy the key to translate the cipher, but Zawa was able to negotiate a limited translation of the key astronomical information. In the end, the Valiant Dukes were a bit disappointed, as they had hoped to learn additional secrets of Glenfathan astronomy. However, even the information Zawa recovered was fascinating to Valiant astronomers. 3,000 experience, one major item. We got the Constellated Cloak, plus 12 reflex and dimensional shift once per rest. This dazzling cloak was a gift from two Valiant Dukes, a reward for your help in recovering lost Glenfathan astronomical knowledge. Looking at the cloak from different angles produces a variety of shimmering colors and creates the illusion that you are gazing into an impossibly deep expanse of space. It's a cool sounding cloak. Just wish it had better stats so I could use it. Well, it was kind of nifty that the one place the first place we stopped here in the village was actually the place we needed to go for the main quest.
Of course.
But that's not where we were going now. I just remembered we're supposed to find Eska here, aren't we? Did she have a mill? Was it a mill that she had and not a farm, or he had? I think it might have been a he, Eska. So this might be it right here. A word, traveler. I only require a moment. Yes?
Good day to you.
The guard sighs with relief as he looks at you. What are the odds? Stuck in this backwater only to meet the famed champion of Defiance Bay. Bareth's wheel brings mercy today, indeed. Why am I the champion of Defiance Bay? What did I do? I guess I did save Heritage Hill. That's pretty big, right? I feel like that's really the only super public thing I did. But I didn't really think I got that much recognition for that. Oh well, I'll take it. His demeanor grows serious. Perhaps you could help. I don't suppose you saw a young elven noblewoman on the road? I'm stuck in this wretched place with the rest of my unit until we find her. Who is she? Lady Ellis. Or Elise? Ellis? He bites his lip. She's the daughter of Lord Nestor Harrand, and she's gone missing. He sighs. Perhaps you could go speak with Lord Harrand at the inn. He'll be grateful for the assistance, and it could be the villagers will open up to you more than they have to us. Sure, buddy. I can do that. Another quest? Alright. I think this is Eska's mill. Has to be, right? Yep. Confront the paladins. Put the blade down, boy. You scarcely know how to hold it. Hey, help me, please. They're insane. One of the paladins takes a step to the side, swiveling to face you and Eska both. He sizes you up with a lazy sweep of the eyes. Well, who's this? Ah, the foreigner. You'll have to wait your turn. We have a contract to wrap up. Step away from him. Ha! Has the lad's plight stirred your heartstrings? Word of the Dyrwoods played you like a lute. Word is the Dyrwoods played you like a lute. Kern sent me. Terrorizing drunks isn't very professional. Step away or die. You're a murderer. Step away or die. Alright. You have my attention. Kill her first. Idiot. Now, these guys do have the potential to actually be strong, because they are from the DLC. Guys, I said attack. Okay, good. And then do this. And then do this. I guess we can start doing other stuff too. Do that. Do that. Okay, and then... So we don't... What? They're still doing some damage here. I hit him with that. Actually, you have one of these, right? I can do this once per day. Can I get... Right there. Go ahead and do that, and then do this. Alright, everybody on this guy? Yeah, these guys are putting up more of a fight, but it's not gonna help. Or it's not gonna work. Are they all still alive? No. One of them's dead. Okay. Two of them are dead. That guy's almost dead. 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 It's over, buddy. Should have surrendered. There we go. Eska stares at the fallen paladins. The dagger trembles in his hand. They told me that they killed my parents. Is that true? I'm sorry, Eska. I never believed Kern could stoop to this. That rotten bastard! Eska turns his head away, fists clenched. You hear a stifled sob. Kern sent me. He didn't intend for anyone to get killed. Who cares what he intended? That I'm going to see to it he regrets everything he's done. Revenge is what started all of this. It's going to finish all of this too. Here. I'm grateful you saved me, I am. I just wish you'd turned up sooner. Yep. Don't sound very grateful, to be honest. Return to Kern. Okay. What do you got on you? Exceptional, great sword, exceptional, exceptional. Anything? Minor bracers of deflection. That's pretty good. Siege breaker gauntlets. Ooh. Resolve +4. Interesting. What do my gauntlets do? Dexterity +2. Ooh. I'd rather have resolve +4, dexterity +2. Well, what's the other thing it does? Clear out. Faux AoE. I kind of like that, actually. Let's try it out. Why not? It does lower your dexterity to only 20, but it raises your resolve up to 19. I think that's probably better.
Hey.
In the long run, I think. Or, like, overall. Oh, it's stealing? Wow. He did leave. Oh. Well, that's not stealing. I'll take that. The mill slowly grinds away at a trough of grain. Alright. Well, we saved him. And he gave us 2,000 gold, or copper. Which I guess is nothing to me anymore, but that's okay. And he wasn't super grateful. He was like, oh, you should have gotten here sooner. Fuck you, man. Should have let him kill you. Would have been easier that way. Okay. You're a named person, Rumbold. Damn Gallowayne for monsters like that. And damn the rest of the gods, too. What's up, buddy? A man paces angrily in front of a wrecked animal pen. His sun-weathered face twists with ire. He's so wrapped up in his fury that he doesn't seem to notice you. Gallowayne slobbering beasts. Blazing bloody effigy. Thrice damned salty wench and her soggy. What's wrong? Watch where you're going, you raging fool. I love that. Like, I just imagine you just have a character who just purposely steps into this guy's path so that they can say that to them. That's probably not the best way to pray to the gods. It's probably not the best way to pray to the gods. Fat lot of good they've done me so far. Just look at this mess. My pen ruined and all but a few measly runts gone. What are you talking about? Calm down and tell me what happened. At least you're still in one piece. That's something to be thankful for. I've had about enough of your tone, farmer. Calm down and tell me what happened. He bites his lip and closes his eyes. His nostrils flare with each quick, angry breath. Wife's always telling me to mind my temper. Just breathe deep and count to 10. He sighs. An ogre moved into the area not long ago. Folk had been seeing glimpses and tracks out in the woods, but it seemed to be staying away from town, or so we all thought, until it made off with my pigs. Now everyone's afraid it's going to develop a taste for kith, if it hasn't already. Your swine are long gone. It's best to move on. Did you see the ogre take your pigs? Yeah, did you see it? What else would have destroyed my pen and made off with my herd? And at the same time, the rest of the village is seeing a 10-foot monster in the forest. He gives you an appraising look. I knew a few toughs like you during the Saints' War. I know it's too late to get my pigs back, but it set my mind at ease to see that thing's head shorn from its neck. In fact, you bring its ugly pate to me, and I'll trade you for something that's of less use to a farmer like me than to a rowdy-looking sort like yourself. I killed the ogre. I just don't have its head. Did I? What do you know about the ogre? I've been sent to find an Orlan named Nifri. Do you know where she is? What do you know about the ogre? It's the same as any other, I'm sure. A big ugly son of a bitch with a nasty temper and an appetite to match. Tyrgale could tell you more. He claims to have seen it in the woods. You can find him in his shop, right by the broken tower. Need something else? I killed the ogre, I just don't have his head. And I seduced every woman in Andra's gift and didn't get the pox. He shakes his head and holds up a dirt-streaked hand. As much as I'd love to believe that monster's dead, I want proof. I won't part with old lead spitter for nothing. It could be a rifle. I've been sent to find an Orlan named Knifery. Know where she is? Never heard of her. Never even heard of her. Leave. Okay, another quest gained. Get all the quests. Alright, villagers. Villagers and more villagers. Anything down here? We got a Winfrith's Arms and Armory. Okay. Guess we can do some shopping. See if they've got anything cool. We have plenty of money to burn, so. Hello. Oh, we have a soul to read. It's been a long time since we've had that.
Well met, friend.
A portly, smiling man stands behind a warped wooden counter, polishing a buckler. He looks up. Haven't seen you before. Always glad to see a new face in town. Company's good for business and chowder's good for the soul. That's what I always say. Anyhow, what can I do for you? What's been going on in Dyrford? Oh, we're a quiet little town. Not much happens here. Especially not since the legacy hit. People realized that they couldn't have babies and just stopped trying altogether. And that takes a lot of the excitement out of the day-to-day, if you can believe it. Show me what you have for sale. Ooh. Tall grass. A pike. Okay. The Hours of Saint Rumbolt. A great sword. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Doesn't look like anything we need. Grudge Keeper. And, ooh, a spear. Maybe get that for, what's his face? I already forgot his name. Our, Orlan Druid dude. We'll buy that. Sure, why not? Ooh, mosquito. A rapier. Neat. Angio's Gambison. Light armor. Athletics +2. Don't think we need that. Fine hide armor. Fine boots of zealous command. Zealous aura. 20% zealous aura area of effect. We will buy those. I don't know if it'll be better than what she's using, but we'll see. Voice of the Mountaintop. Only usable by a chanter. Plus 20% chant area of effect. Ooh. Dwarven chanters of the White March are said to have mastered projection techniques to such a degree that they can trigger distant avalanches with their voices. Whether or not this specific rumor is true, they are known to chant between peaks and across rugged valleys, exchanging messages with their brethren across great distances. This amulet was forged by an ancient order of druids in the White March, precursors to the Ithic Knoll of Twin Elms. It was worn and passed down from one watchman to the next, men and women who stood guard atop the high peaks, ready to warn their fellows of approaching armies. I'll take that. Let's go ahead and read all of these. An officer in the Darkosi Paladini of Old Valia first wore these. It was said that those under her command knew her by the sound of her approach and stood a little straighter in her presence. She was known throughout the order for her inspirational leadership. The sight of Vertesi on the battlefield was something no combatant ever forgot. Stocky and short, even by Orlan standards, Vertesi insisted on using a spear in lieu of any other weapon offered him, to the frequent shock of his comrades. Vertesi proved an unstoppable force on the battlefield. No matter how overwhelming the odds, Vertesi could take down opponents with almost comical ease, leaping great heights to bring his spear down upon his foes with crushing force. Whenever it seemed that Vertesi might at last meet his end, the fearless Orlan would find a second wind and fight with renewed conviction. 8. The renowned Valian acrobat Angio wore this garment while performing jaw-dropping feats that seemed to defy the laws of nature and the standards of good sense. He would leap and tumble across wires suspended high above the ground, and while there is no evidence that this Gambison actually reduced his intelligence, His concern for safety lessened as his fame and skill grew. Okay, so it doesn't lessen intelligence, just making sure. He forswore the wearing of safety harnesses and, eventually, the use of any kind of safety rope, claiming that these tethers limited his ability to perform. While his skill never failed him, one of his tight ropes unfortunately did. He plunged to his death at the foot of Onsen's fortress. And I guess we'll read these two. Mosquito. This finely crafted but unassuming rapier was created in the hot and humid forests of the Sithwood. Its first owner was a minor nobleman named Edwin Grundmith, known in social circles for his obsequious manner and annoying habit of lingering too long where he was not wanted. Edwin had little use for the blade in the courts he frequented. When Edwin died, an unnotable death, the blade passed to a younger niece, Caden Grundmith. She found that the weapon had characteristics of her uncle, good at interrupting at inopportune times, draining the life of anyone it came into contact with, and a generally annoying presence. It was Caden who gave the rapier its nickname Mosquito, and used it regularly in court duels. The weapon passed to Edwin's grandson in the Dyrford upon her death. A Thane of Swinsrun. He was lost during a Glenfathan raid. Mosquito was lost with him, as he had no descendants, and none of the Grundmiths of Adir have made a claim on the rapier. It has circulated among anonymous Glenfathan and Dyrwooden owners ever since. Oops, I don't want to buy that. Grudge Keeper. One of the many Orland slaves freed by the 10 Years' Treaties, Maswin Kaz, swore vengeance against those who had wronged her and her people, gathering a small group of fellow freed Orlands to perform night raids on known slavers. She would go on to join the Grief's forces in putting down the Cooper's rebellion, if in an unofficial capacity, and it was at this point that she acquired an ornately carved rod from the home of a wealthy slave owner. Every time Cass brought down a foe, she would scratch a notch into the rod she wielded. By the time she lost possession of it, the rod bore a crisscross pattern along its length that many assumed was part of its original design. Oh, it's a long one. Saint Rumbold was among the first of the pilgrims to take up the emperor's offer of resettlement in the distant territory of Radsaris. A dedicated priest of the Shining God, Rumbold was regarded as a leader in his community, known both for his unwavering dedication to his congregation and his stern vigilance against lapses in doctrine. What survives of his sermons reflect his duality, for he emphasized the redemptive powers of the faith, even as he warned against the dire punishments awaiting those who rejected Eothas' beneficence. The colonization efforts brought Eothesian settlers into direct conflict with the native Orland populations, and Rumbold was among those credited with routing several brutal attacks upon the settlement. Ultimately, however, Rumbold was mortally wounded during a violent raid. Witnesses claimed that upon the moment of his death, Rumbold's body was suffused by an overwhelming burst of light, knocking the remaining Orland warriors flat or else scattering them back into the forest. Accounts arose of Rumbold's final hours, describing the great miracles which were observed to have occurred during the day preceding his death. Eothas, it was said, had informed Rumbold of his fate, and the priest accepted this gladly and without fear, for he knew that death was only the first step in his rebirth. He subsequently marked each of his final 27 hours with a miraculous act, such that his congregation would know of the gifts Eothas had bestowed upon him and continue Rumbolt's work in his stead. Rather than staunch the flow of Eothesian settlers, Rumbolt's death only encouraged more pilgrims to venture across the sea, eager to set their eyes upon the final resting place of Eothas's favored servant. The Hours of Saint Rumbolt was forged in dedication to this patron saint of the resettlement, and its blade is inscribed with markings counting the 27 hours before Rumbolt's passing. In such manner was the blade imbued with the saint's power, it was said that a man might kneel before the sword and know with precision the moment of his death. That'd be really badass. And tall grass. A group of Adiran pikemen were so disciplined in battle that they garnered the attention of the Firkonig himself. He made them members of his personal retinue and ordered special weapons fashioned for them. They marched at the head of his procession, their movements perfectly synchronized, and their pikes swinging like blades of grass in the wind. The pikemen became a public favorite during royal festivals and parades, and both they and their weapons earned the nickname Tallgrass. Cool. So that's what we're going to buy, and then we're going to sell all this crap, including all the grimoires, because we have gone through all of them that I can remember. We might have gotten one in the last couple sessions, but I don't think we would have gotten anything from them at the level they're at. So let's just high to low. There we go. And if it's not golden, it goes. Oh, no. It's mine. Can't have it. Even though I'll never use it. There we go. Look at all these weapons just wasting away in my stash. There we go. Are we missing one? Is that what I accidentally sold and got back? I don't think so. I thought it was a pistol. I don't know. Okay, enough. It would have been cool to be a pistol user in this game. Look pretty cool. And then all this crap. Probably get rid of all those accessories too, but I'll hold off on doing that for now. That's good. Here we go. Good day, sir.
Hey.
Okay, so we got a couple things here that we want to check out. So we got boots for you. You're currently using sturdy boots. Okay, so these will be a bonus for you, or a boost for you. Item type. Item type. There we go. The boots. Wait. Were they not boots? I thought they were boots. Did I not buy them? Did we get the one thing? I don't see the one thing either. Wasn't it one of these? Hold on. Oh, here they are. Okay, so they weren't... Okay. Cloud Piercer. Don't need it. Don't need it. You go in here. And you can go here, and you can go here. Okay, so... You get those. Those have been there. So for you, Kana... Let's see... Okay, so that's just a cloak of protection. Yep, so you get this. Excellent. Alright, good bonuses. And let's go read this person's soul. Reach out. Why can't I scroll down? What the hell? Okay, that was weird. You see a forest clearing, fog curling through the weeds on the ground in the cold morning air. The serenity of the scene is occasionally broken by a faint noise that echoes through the silence. This woman emerges from the trees and stops, dropping to the ground. She creeps to the edge of the clearing and crouches near a tree. She glances around furtively, listening intently in the growing light. She presses her back to the tree, tensing against it, ready to spring forward. From the distance comes another sound, a rustling in the undergrowth. At that, she shoots forward, keeping as low to the ground as she can. She puts a hand to her throat and makes a sound, a shrill bird call. But what emerges from her mouth seems to emanate from yards away. From behind her, near the source of the rustling, there's a brief grunting noise that is quickly silenced. She dives into a large bush at the edge of the tree line, keeping her head down and wiggling silently through the leaves and twigs. She takes a position in the bushes, turning to face the direction she came. She raises her hand again, this time mimicking a Stelgare, placing the roar directly behind the man failing to sneak up on her. More than one voice answers this call, all of them sounding panicked and hurried, all of them quickly moving this way, all thoughts of stealth forgotten. She backs out from under the bush to crouch behind it. As she pulls her bow from her back, she takes a shooting stance and waits for her hunters to appear. Okay. I don't know why that menu was messing up, but it was a good tactic there by her. Of course, you needed to have the skill to be a ventriloquist and know how to make animal sounds. Imagine that would probably be like I don't know a whole lot about hunting, but that could be really useful for hunting, right? Don't they use like, I don't know, like whistles or things like that to like bird call whistles or something? I don't know what I'm talking about. I probably just saw it in a movie one time and took it as fact. The woman looks briefly through you, as if she doesn't know you're there. Well, that's not very nice, is it? Grieving mother. I think this is another companion. Well, it's got a portrait, so that gives you a hint, but the face seems awfully familiar. Maybe I just remember this quest, I don't know. This middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth, draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off of the long fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me. What is going on with my... What's going on here? Why is it doing this? Okay, this isn't... Okay. This is gonna be annoying. I might have to, like, reload or... Oh! Or I just say farewell. That works too, I suppose. Let me just... save it. Give it a little quick save here and then reload it. Maybe that'll fix the problem. Fortunately, we haven't had like a lot of dialogue options since that started happening. Otherwise, it'd be really annoying and frustrating. But hopefully, it's just a simple bug that a reload will solve, or at the very least, a restart of the game will solve. Hello.
All right then.
Okay. I think it's doing it still. What the hell? I don't have my controller plugged in. It's not the controller.